My name's Gerard Longo. I am the founder and CEO of Underground Music Collective. We are a digital music resource and multimedia services company based in Nashville, Tennessee, serving independent musicians and creatives everywhere.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, for all of you musicians or those who inspire to be, I want you to go take notes. Also, you can look at the notes in the description. Thanks to Fathom. They do it all for us. Gotta love AI. But today's guest, Gerard, is going to give us the game. I don't know. I don't want to start a fight in Nashville, so I can't call him the king of Nashville yet. We'll say like the Duke or the, soon to be Prince, because Nashville is full of musicians and I don't want to get him in trouble. Even at the airport, somebody's playing the guitar or piano. And he's going to give us the game on the underground music collective that he has and how it can help you. So Gerard, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. A lot to get into, a lot happening in our ecosystem. So always appreciate the opportunity to chat. And I'll take Duke or Prince. We'll work our way up to King. we're getting there. We're getting there, but it's a long way to the top, as they say. So, well, we'll start with Duke. We'll go from there.
Gotcha. Well, tell the musicians who, heard me, tell them how your organization helps and benefits them, especially in such a crowded area where even grandmothers now can get on the phone, make a song by buying a beat, do whatever, however people are putting it out there. AI can make a song. How does your organization help musicians?
Well, one area where we really shine is focusing on the storytelling. And that, of course, starts with, what brought us to the dance, which was started the podcast, which is called The Quinn Spin. That was our origin point about 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago in August. August 17th is when I came up with the concept for the show in 2013. And, it's always been about highlighting, featuring, interviewing independent artists, independent creatives, entrepreneurs, right? And, finding out not only about what they do, but why they do it, what their purpose is behind their work, right? And so that has evolved, with us over time. We went from just the podcast here, actually right where I'm recording right now. I'm actually in New Jersey right now, to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where we launched the blog called Lehigh Valley Underground. We were a regional blog at the time. We were covering the local music scene about an hour north of Philly, had the podcast kind of roll into that. And again, the focus was on storytelling, highlighting independent music, highlighting the stories behind it, through interviews, reviews, that kind of thing. And then in 2018, we relocated to Nashville. I rebranded to Underground Music Collective. And the idea was that we'd be Nashville based, but not necessarily exclusive to Nashville, right? And so our platform, of course, still provides that storytelling element through our daily content and features, but we've evolved since then to incorporate more educational components. We have a Wednesday Wisdom series where we have an industry expert every week sharing their insights in the industry on various topics. We've done educational panels where we launched a coaching program in March, which is, to me, because I'm our coach right now, it's the most exciting part of the ecosystem to me, because it's just like, it's a chance to spark ideas, and it's a chance to collaborate with these artists, these creatives on their journey, right? Who they know where they want to go, or they have a vision, they have an idea of where they want to go, but it's just about organizing their thoughts, putting it together, having somebody as an accountability partner, right? And somebody to help spark the ideas that help them put it together. And so we have that going on. Of course, we're doing events in Nashville, outside of Nashville as well. We've got one actually back in Bethlehem, PA in November that we're really excited about. It's our first, quote, hometown show in 5 years. And there are just so many ways that our ecosystem can help. And I'm really excited too, because it's constantly evolving. And the second half of this year, we're going to take a lot of these things that we've launched, a lot of these ideas we've had, and really bolster the foundation of them and bring them together into something more exciting. We just announced that we're starting to build out a membership model, and we're taking feedback from our community to see what would make that valuable for them, because the strength of your membership model is based on your members and their participation and their willingness to participate in that. So we want to hear from the community as far as what would make a membership model, joining an organization like ours in a more formal context, valuable to them. What kind of opportunities should we be providing for them? What kinds of insights, content, education, that kind of thing. And so it's a really exciting time. It's ever evolving. It keeps me on my toes. That is one thing I will say. There's a lot to keep in balance as I look to grow this thing and grow the team behind it, because that's another lesson I've learned is you need a team. I think I've notoriously for a long time tried to do a lot of the heavy lifting by myself, but you need that support system. You need those different people with different skills and insights and talents to help shape the vision and help actually execute on it. So that's another thing we're going to be focusing on, but it's an exciting time, and 10 years out from starting the podcast in this very room, pretty much, it's exciting to see where we're going.
Love it. Yes, I love to say you need a team to make the dream happen. I don't know one person without a team who has, accomplished some of their goals. But, people can go to the website again, whether you're listening or those who are watching. The minority are watching, but those numbers can keep kicking up and the algorithm can switch every day. Go check out the website while you're listening or watching. There's a button that says submit your music. And I want it to be very clear, because creatives have a very bad habit when you put submit music or submit your story, that something magical is going to happen for free or for $5 and your world will change. And then they're bothering you every day, all day. Did you get my single? Did you get my single? So can you talk about that process of if they submit their music, what happens after that, any cost, and then what can they expect?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So with the music submission link, that one thing that I want to maintain, throughout the life of UMC is I don't ever want to charge for a review. I want that to come from a genuine place. I want that to be something that's a tool to build community, build awareness of our community, of the artists and their community, and help us build that platform organically. Right. So, but it's important to know that we have that submission link there, because that submission link, there are two forms. There's one to submit a single and one to submit an EP or an album, right? And those forms are very detailed because we want you to fill out the details. We want you to give us everything that we need to know to tell a story. One thing, again, that storytelling element is so important to what we do. It's so important to you as an artist building your brand. And so often artists will just be like, I'm a singer-songwriter from Anywhere USA. All right. You and everybody else, if everybody brands themselves that way, nobody stands out. What is your story? What's the story behind your artistry? What's the story behind this release? What's the story behind why you do what you do and why this was the time to release this project? So if you go to those forms, everything you need to know, everything that we need to know rather, is there for you to fill out. And be diligent, give us as much detail as possible, give us as much detail as you can. It's always good to see when somebody really takes the time and care and thought, to do that. And it's noticeable versus when somebody doesn't. They're just like, I remember seeing one, and I'm not going to name names, but I did everything, interview me. Okay, you self-produced, you wrote, you recorded, all that. But it's just saying I did everything, interview me, doesn't tell me why should this be the thing that we take our time to feature, because that's a free service, right? In essence, is reviewing your music. So it's if we're going to take our time, then on our end, it needs to be a worthwhile time investment, if nothing else. And from there, of course, once you submit your music, whether it gets featured on the UMC 20 playlist, which comes out every week, whether we review, whether we feature it in some other way through an interview on the podcast or something, that does then tap you into the platform and all these other resources at your disposal. The services that we offer, coaching, any workshops, seminars that we offer here in the future. So there's a way to, on the business end, where the artists, if they so choose, can then funnel into the other services that we offer. But it all starts with building community, and it all starts with getting featured and giving people an opportunity to grow their platforms, giving people an opportunity to interface with us and vice versa. And the best way to do that is to do what brought us to the dance. And that's to share their music. That's to share their stories and exist as a platform that gives them the power to do that authentically.
So the review is free, but there are other services. And can you talk about those services? Because again, creatives, doesn't matter what the genre is, they will, hey, you're my A&R, you're my publicist, you're my manager, you're my road manager. You know, I got a movie too, so can you be my gaffer if I send this to you? What services do you have for artists? And if you can give like a range of what those may cost, because it's a pet peeve of mine doing this for 20 years, working with artists and entertainers and whatnot. It's like, no, I got to eat. I got to keep my lights on to work with you. So I want them to make sure they feed you and your growing team.
Yes, that is, and I'm glad you said that, because this is a business. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like anything that you want to build creatively as a platform, like it's a business. If you want to grow it to the highest levels, you have to treat it that way, right? And so that has been something that I've had to learn over the course of these past 10 years. You know, these growing pains, you know, come about when you realize, like, you know, the level you need to get to as opposed to the level you are. And so we're at the point now where, you know, we definitely treat it, you know, what we do as a business, you know, on the service end. And you know, and it's premium service, you know, provided by a platform that has been around in one way or another for the past 10 years, you know. So anything, again, from artist coaching, you know, I take the lead on a lot of that myself, of course, you know, and that's, you know, values based, it's foundational, it's really helping you identify who you are as an artist, how that translates into everything that you create, and the impact that you want to have in the world. So we really start, you know, I call it my VMV method, because whereas a lot of people go mission, vision, values, we actually start with the values piece first, because that's the core, that's the North Star, you know, by which everything will fall into place from there. It's the first domino to fall. If you don't have that defined for yourself, then you're going to get off track, you're going to get off purpose, you're going to be out of alignment, and you're going to find yourselves in situations and with opportunities that don't align. And that's where you get burned out. That's where you lose yourself in the shuffle as an artist, right? So we start there. And so right now we're doing a nice introductory rate for new coaching clients, where we'll do a 3-month contract for $800. So 3 months, $800, and we'll do 6 months for 15. And then from there, if we enjoy working together, you know, we go from there, and we'll you know, adjust accordingly. But that's just to get you in the door, get that foundational work done for you, so then we can start to build out how that translates into your branding, how that translates into everything that we're putting out there, everything that's in the ether about you as an artist, and how it informs your journey forward. And also just helping you identify the roadblocks that might stand in your way and ways around them, solutions, behaviors, actions that will help you get around. And this comes from my 10 years in the industry and the lessons I've learned and I'm still learning. You know, it's a fun thing for me too, because with every coaching client, I get to learn more about how to coach better. I get to learn more about the challenges that artists are facing, which makes me a better coach. So it's this cool exchange that's happening right now. And it's really exciting. And I'm just so inspired by some of the folks that I get a chance to work with in that regard. So, but that's coaching. So that's one thing. We also are offering social media services, whether that's on the consulting end, whether that's on, you know, you want us to do everything for you, the posting, everything. I mean, that it starts, you know, if you want to just do a quick check-in once in a while, our packages start at $300 and they go up from there, depending how much you want us to do. So, you know, it could be anything from just like, hey, you just want to check in and get some advice, right? You know, and get some direction on where to go and, you know, what to do, you know, how to navigate social media content curation and strategy, to you want us to do everything for you and, you know, manage the blog on your website. So depending on what you're looking for, depending on the solution and your budget, we've got a solution for you. So there's that. We also, for companies and even artists who want to advertise their projects, do a little extra advertising through us. We have advertising packages that we've developed as well. So we have a whole range of solutions on that. And we can also do a la carte solutions as well, as far as advertising and getting the word out there for you. We're always growing our mailing list. We're always growing our following. You know, we've had the chance ourselves to be featured on a variety of major media platforms. So advertising through us also puts you in front of folks in the industry, you know, who are game changers and who are always looking at our platform for new talent and new ideas and that kind of thing. So there's value in that. We have also an ambassador program, which is an affiliate marketing program where you can actually partner with us and help drive people to our merch offerings and our products and our services and get a kickback from that as well. So that starts at, you would, for every sale that you generate through your code, that starts at, you get $5 per sale all the way up to $30, depending on the amount sold. So there are a lot of ways to interface. There are also ways, to work with us and make money, too, specifically with the UMC ambassadors program. There's a lot going on. And also we do have a team of freelancers. We call it our creative agency at UMC, where say you need a specific service, like let's say you need a photographer, videographer, and you're in Nashville, right? We have those folks that we can refer you to. You need somebody to build you a website. You need somebody to do graphic design work for you. We even have a couple of music instructors in the fold, so you can book those folks through us and we'll do all the work connecting you, and anything that's created through those folks and through that agency then gets featured on the blog side of our platform. So you're getting a little extra marketing value out of it. So, and those rates will vary depending on the freelancer. A lot of that comes down to their rates and their packages. And then of course, there's a little bit on top that then we use to help market the projects when they're completed. So a lot of ways to interface with us, a lot going on here, a lot of ideas that have launched this year, and it's really exciting. And it's something that, we're going to, as 2023 goes into 2024, refine even further and, think about, what components do we want to bring into that membership model? How do we want to streamline this even further to make it more simple to get involved with us, so you can jump right in. So a lot going on, a lot to keep track of as the owner of this whole thing too. But, it's exciting to see the growth.
Definitely. And let me just say what you had said for the person who's listening and they're like, well, I don't have a lot. Warning. If you don't have, I believe Gerard said $800 for 3 months. So it's broken down like $266 a month. If you don't have that, you're not ready for the music business. If you don't have it, this is a drop in the bucket for what you're going to have to spend. I don't cancel out the Little Nas X. He only spent this and he only spent that. Stop the cap, as the kids say. Mm-hmm. It's going to take more than that. And you have somebody who has more experience than you. So just keep that in mind. Because I know 14-year-olds who have that amount of money, whether they work, paper route, whatever they do, ask their parents. So don't come to Gerard Pomouth and saying, well, if you work with me, when I blow up, you will blow up. It never works out like that, ever.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that, because part of the lesson on my journey is honestly, I keep saying, I've had to stop being Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Just giving out gifts everywhere. And that introductory rate, I realize that that's a steal, right? I realize that that's still low for the experience and the value you're going to get out of it to start, right? But I also understand that the independent artist often comes into it with this mindset of, well, I don't have any money. I'm a starving artist, because society has placed this stigma upon the music industry that we're all just supposed to be broke, right? And you can't make money off of that. And, who had, a relative or a friend tell them somewhere along the line, that's not a real job. You'll never make any money, go into finance or something, right? And you can make money. You can make a living. I know that because people do it. I know that because we're building our platform. And when you build a platform from zero, there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of that mindset and that stigma that you have to break through, especially in the entertainment industry. But to your point, Kellen, you need to invest in your career. If you don't invest in your career, you're never, ever going to grow. You're only going to stay on that merry-go-round, frustrated and wondering why you're on the merry-go-round. And it happens to so many people. And there are so many talented people who think oh, well, I'm talented and I just need to go viral, or I just need to connect with this person or that person. You need to go on the journey, and you need to invest, and you need to treat it like a business. And so an organization like ours, who's offering you these resources, that are valuable and that are insightful, take advantage of that. please take advantage of that. I'm not just saying it because it's my company. I'm saying it because we're here to help, we're here to serve, and we're here to get you thinking in a way that's going to help you in your career. We're here to get you thinking big picture, and we're here to hold you accountable to your own goals, because it's tough for us to do it alone, right? All of us, I think creatures of habit, creatures of comfort, right? Like we seek comfort naturally as human beings. So you need that push. We all do. I do, and that's why I got into coaching, right? Because I realize how people who have mentored me and guided me have helped me. And so I want to give that back now, but you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to make the investment. Nobody's going to hand you anything. Nobody's going to hand you a record deal. And honestly, in a lot of cases, is the record deal even the thing you want anymore? There are so many ways to make it independently. And of course, making it being an abstract concept in itself, but there are so many ways that you can build a life and build a living out of what you love to do. I am at the point, in my journey where it's like, I don't see myself ever going back to a day job, corporate America, 9 to 5. But it's because I have slogged through and, I've been willing to bump my head, and I've been willing to invest, and I've been willing to learn the lessons when, things go wrong. I've been willing to celebrate the triumphs, but not celebrate them for too long, and it's all these things over time. There's so much you have to endure and outlast, and you have to be willing to give yourself a chance to grow. And if you're not willing to invest, to your point, Kellen, then you're holding yourself back. It's like an anchor, at the bottom of the ocean. Your ship's not going to sail. So very good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it easy on you because I think of all the things that, this industry will do, and it's love. I mean, this is what some of us, we have to do. Even when I try to get out, but they pulled me back in, it's you have to do it. But also, and I want you to tell people, with the success that you're having, there's always a community give back. And I'd like to know what yours is, or what it's going to be, or what it's been, because I know you've done so much free 99 already just to get here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that too, because there are a lot of organizations we're now partnering with, that we're helping them, they're clients, but we're helping them build their own ecosystems and take a lot of the lessons we've learned about building community and building a platform that they're then applying to their communities and ecosystems. I can think of a couple partners we have in Nashville. It's one organization called Music on the Move Studios, and we're community partners. I mean, we work very closely together. And when we started working together, I work with them as a marketing consultant. And the thing that I really impress upon them is it's always, the UMC platform has always been built on being about somebody else. 95% of our content's about somebody else, throughout the course of history. You have to meet people where they are. You have to make it about them so they're interested enough to come in and learn about you. And so Music on the Move has been such a great example of taking that and applying it and running with it. They're a female-owned organization. They do all female showcases where they have a lineup of all female artists, and then also female entrepreneurs setting pop-up shops up at their shows, right? And just to see like what we've been able to do, growing the presence of that organization online, growing the presence of it in the community. We just announced that we're doing our next showcase in October at 3rd and Lindsley, which is one of the more prominent club venues in Nashville. And there's so much buzz that we're seeing, and it's reflecting back in the web traffic we're getting, the submissions that we're getting to perform. It's a submission opportunity, and then the committee will go in and select, right? And so, but just seeing how they've adopted that lesson, like that's a give back for me. Like that's rewarding to see how they've been able to grow and apply a lot of what I learned, stumbling through the early stages of UMC and all of its previous iterations, right? There's another organization called Ether Nashville, which is doing a lot to empower the hip hop community in particular in Nashville, because there's such a strong, vibrant hip hop community, and it's been so underserved for so long. And they're really moving forward in a conscious, community-minded kind of way. And they, to their credit, had a lot of the mission, the vision, the values already figured out. What I'm doing is I'm stepping in and helping connect our community to theirs and vice versa, and really give a chance to grow. And it's like those collaborative, those beautiful community partnerships that really serve everybody. I'm a huge believer in the rising tide raises all boats. And if we're all a part of this, we're going to get a lot further together than we're ever going to individually apart, so it's finding those partners, those like-minded partners, and collaborating with them instead of competing. I have no interest in competing with anybody. I want to collaborate and grow together. I think over time, what we're going to see is all these organizations, these partner organizations, and more that'll come into the fold, the artists, we're going to have created our own industry within the industry. And that's the long-term vision, is to have us be a resource, have UMC be a resource where people can go to get educated on best practices, to have their music featured, to connect with these other organizations that can also provide them opportunities. Because as we grow that strength in numbers, as we grow that presence, it's going to become a more viable opportunity. Then you're talking about sponsors coming in, you're talking about more investors coming in, you're talking about all of these major stakeholders coming in to help us grow and blow this thing up even further. And so, but it starts on the ground, and it starts by teaching what you've learned, and it starts by offering your service and expertise wherever you can. And it's just been really encouraging. I've been working with Music on the Move for going on 2 years now. Ether is much more recent, in our partnership, but it's already encouraging to see like that exchange, that mind meld taking place, and again, it's something just like with coaching where like, I get as much out of it and I learn as much from it as I'm giving, so it's really this beautiful exchange, and it's just really building a lot of positive momentum on the community level.
Please let the artists know, and even, maybe somebody who wants to do what you're doing behind the scenes, I guess it could go both ways. What's the number one mistake that you see people doing coming into this industry?
Thinking that overnight success is a thing, because it is not a thing. It is a myth. And I understand where the myth comes from, right? Because so often, like, you see that person that, like, take Lizzo, for example, a few years ago, like Lizzo blew up and all of a sudden she's an overnight success. Like, oh, where did this person come from? You didn't know the story of her sleeping in her car for 9 years and, operating with overdrafts and eating fast food every night. Like, nobody saw that story. They just saw Lizzo playing her flute and twerking on stage, right? Like, that's what people saw. But like, then she actually started to tell her story and became this amazing case study of like what it actually takes to get to that level, because she's also somebody that hit that level of success a little later than is the conventional standard. I believe in her early 30s, right? And that's the thing, it can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of sacrifice, and it can take a lot of trial and error, and you're not just going to get there unless like somebody is bankrolling you to that level. Then you're just not going to be able to, go from here to here right away. You're going to have to learn, you're going to have to grow, you're going to have to go through those challenges, and you're going to have to get a thick skin. That's so important. And, in doing that too, you learn. And in doing that, you have a chance to apply those lessons and figure out exactly what it takes to succeed, number one, but also who you need to be, this journey, because I myself, I went back and forth, throughout the course of this, working corporate jobs. And at the beginning of 2021, I left. I left corporate America with the intention of never going back. And I tell people this all the time. That leap will tell you and teach you everything you need to know about yourself. And I don't just mean professionally. The person that you need to be to go from here to here, it's going to show you. And it's going to give you a lot of uncomfortable truths that you have to deal with. You're going to have to get over a lot of fears. You're going to have to deal with your traumas. You're going to have to deal with everything that you haven't yet addressed if you want to get to that level. And that's something that I think is so important, because I think so often people just see the dream, and people see like this, calling as the antidote to ever having to work. That saying, I hate the saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, because the truth is, do what you love and you're going to work 5 times harder. You're going to work 5 times. This is more challenging than any 9-to-5 job I've ever had. And like by far, like by a country mile. And, I think anybody who says that do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life is either naive or they're trying to sell you something, because the fact of the matter is, like, you're going to have to put in the work. And in the beginning, before you have that team, before you even understand what you need, you're first going to have to find out what works and what doesn't. And then once you find out what good is, you're going to have to go and recruit people to help bring that good to your platform, to your vision. You're going to have to delegate the tasks that you don't necessarily have time for, or maybe you don't want to do. Find people who are good at those tasks and delegate them, and trust them to do it too. Trust their expertise, trust their knowledge, trust their experience, because they're there to help you. There's so many lessons along the way, but it starts with, it's not going to happen for you overnight, because nothing truly does. Even if it appears that way, there's a lot that's gone into that behind the scenes, into that finished product. So yeah, I mean, I think I gave you like 5 there, but overall, it's, don't expect it to just happen. You're going to have to do the work.
I love it. And that's what this whole show is about. It's about giving the game, showing how people started, sustained, succeeded. You talk about Lizzo, people look at her, you say the twerking and all the antics, but she is a trained flautist. Okay. In America, you might say flutist, but you go anywhere else, they're going to say, huh? If you're, a musician, but she's really trained in this, and it takes a while. I love that. Last question, because I want them to go to your website. I want them to tap in. I want them to tune in. Do you have the podcast, but do you have the book? Have you started it? When will it be ready so they can then, take this game and really study it like a true student trying to get their PhD?
I am so glad you said that. Like, everything you've said, I'm so glad you've said. I've said that like a million times, because that's definitely on my radar. It's definitely on my radar. And part of the second half of 2023 is, for me, it's building that team so I can then do that, so I can write that book and really get my thoughts together in a way and go through that process, because it's an intensive process. And right now, for so long, until recently, I've really been the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker of this entire thing, bootstrapped it, and now it's like, okay, what are the pieces that we need in place? Who are the people that we need to really sing up another level, and so with that, that's of course going to allow me to think bigger picture, to serve in more of an educational role, right? Through books, through speaking engagements, through these other opportunities. And like, it's right there. And like, for the longest time, I felt like that's right there for me. I just got to solidify this base a little more. I just got to build this organization, the structure of it more, so then I can really give my all to a project like that. That's the reason it hasn't happened yet, to be completely transparent, but it's on my radar. I get a new book idea probably once a month, and my first one ever was completely by accident how I stumbled into the music industry, which with the podcast, it was, I needed an outlet from the corporate job I had at the time, and it just, I followed the trail on it, but since then, it's like, it's also just deciding like what I want to communicate in that first offering, right? Whether it's, the story of the platform, or, something that's gives people more of a takeaway, the lessons learned. I'm honestly leaning more toward that at this point, because I feel like there'll be more value in something where it's like, here are the lessons, here are the anecdotes behind the lessons, here's what you can take away. I'm a big fan of Lewis Howes. If you're familiar with Lewis Howes, he's the owner of Greatness Media, hosts the School of Greatness podcast, and different subject area, but I read his book, The Mask of Masculinity, and I really admire how that was presented, because it's like he's taking snippets from the podcast and from his own personal life, and then he's drilling them down into like, here's what I've learned, in the process of what it means to wear this mask, right? And to, and ways to grow past it to where you don't feel you have to wear it anymore. So kind of, that style, but in the sense of like, hey, here's something I encountered along my creative journey in building this platform. Here's how it applies to you as a musician or creative, so that's the idea rattling around in my mind right now. But it's just, I want to make sure that I have the proper time to dedicate to it, because your first book, you want to do it right. So, but it's coming. It is coming. And then there might be some other ideas I have, but that's, I think, where we'll start is, just really communicating the lessons learned, and how people can readily apply them to their journeys.
Well, until you write your book, you guys, for the audience, how to make money in the new music business is a great one. Also, managing artists in pop music for those who want to get in management, because not everybody can be in front of the camera. And guess what? You get to stay longer when you're behind the camera. It just works out like that. Something about, you know, a geriatric patient. Very few get to have such a long career, but there's so many in their 70s and even 80s still doing their thing. Let the people know where they can find you. I don't want to give them a game overload because it seems everybody has ADHD right now. So if you made it to this far, y'all, make sure you like it and share it with somebody, but let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, undergroundmusiccollective.com is our central hub for all of the things we've discussed on this episode. You can also, Instagram's our main social media handle at UMC Nashville. We're also growing out the YouTube presence, and there's a lot more coaching type content coming out there. That's another thing I'm really leaning into is, you know, taking a lot of, especially the Quinn Spin solo mission episodes, the ones I do by myself, and like really using them as an opportunity to educate and share my lessons, you know. And so you're going to be seeing a lot more content populating there over the second half of this year and beyond. So YouTube's definitely one, you know, trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers pretty soon. So want to build out that channel. So Instagram and YouTube, I would say, are our two primary social media handles, and then undergroundmusiccollector.com. If you want to learn more about the Quinn Spin specifically, 2 N's in Quinn, 2 N's in Spin. It's on all of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple. Of course, we repurpose the video episodes onto the UMC YouTube channel as well. So lots going on, lots of ways to engage with us. Follow the UMC 20 playlist on Spotify as well. We update that every week. So yeah, lots of ways to engage, and don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. And if you want to follow me, it's at Gerard Longo 12. You get some UMC stuff there, but it's really, you know, a mishmash of my life as I'm currently living it. So
you guys have been blessed with the game. Now it's your job to make sure you share it with somebody. It will change their life. Be blessed, y'all.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.